The twin suns burned low over the red horizon as Ethan adjusted the strap of his pack and kept walking through the wasteland. His shuttle had crashed 2 hours ago, smoke still rising behind him. He had sent a distress beacon, but in this part of the alien desert, rescue was never guaranteed. Wind carried the dry taste of metal and dust. Each step sank a little into the red sand. The planet of Valira had once been a mining world, now abandoned after the human withdrawal years ago. Ethan thought he was alone, until he heard the scream. It was high-pitched, terrified, and close. He turned sharply. Over the ridge, a small figure stumbled into view. A girl, no older than 12, maybe 13. Her skin shimmered faintly under the sunlight, like liquid silver. Her eyes glowed faint blue, and thin markings like veins traced down her neck. She wasn't human. She looked back over her shoulder, panicked, then locked eyes with Ethan. For a second, both froze, two strangers from different worlds, until she ran straight at him. Ethan didn't move. She reached him and, without a word, hid behind him, pressing her small frame against his back. Her breath was fast, shallow, frightened. "What the hell?" he whispered, turning half around. "Who are you?" She didn't answer. Her whole body trembled. Then Ethan heard it, the sound of engines, not far. A hover transport. The low, rhythmic hum of military-grade engines. A voice echoed through the dust. "Stop running, Subject 47. You cannot hide." Ethan squinted. Through the haze, dark shapes appeared, 5 armored figures moving fast, weapons drawn, scanning the area. He looked down at the girl. "Are they chasing you?" She nodded once, her glowing eyes wide with terror. Ethan sighed quietly. "Of course they are." The transport hovered closer, kicking up a cloud of sand that whipped against his jacket. One of the armored men raised a hand, signaling the others to halt. They spotted Ethan and the girl behind him. The leader's visor glowed red. His voice was deep and metallic. "Step aside, human. The asset belongs to the Galactic Council." Ethan frowned. "She's a person, not an asset." The soldier tilted his head slightly. "You are not authorized to interfere." Ethan's heart beat faster. He didn't know who she was or what she'd done, but something about her fear felt real. She clung to his jacket tighter as if he were her last shield in the universe. "I said," the soldier repeated, "move." Ethan looked at the girl again. She shook her head desperately. He could see tears building in her strange glowing eyes. He turned back to the soldiers. "No." For a long moment, there was silence, only the hum of the hovercraft and the whisper of sand. Then the leader gave a short signal. 2 of the soldiers raised their rifles. Blue energy crackled at the barrels. "Last warning," the leader said coldly. Ethan slowly lifted his hands, not to surrender, but to distract them. "You really gonna shoot a civilian?" "We have orders." Before they could fire, Ethan dove sideways, pulling the girl with him. A burst of plasma scorched the air where he'd stood. The ground erupted in a small explosion of dust and light. Ethan rolled, dragging her behind a half-buried metal structure, the wreck of an old rover. "Stay down," he hissed. The girl nodded, eyes wide, breathing fast. Another blast hit the rover's side, shaking it. Ethan peeked out, scanning the sand. There were 5 of them, all moving in formation. Military. Organized. They weren't here to capture, they were here to erase. He reached for his sidearm. 1 small human pistol against plasma rifles. Great odds. He took a breath, aimed carefully, and fired. The shot hit one soldier's leg joint, sending sparks flying. The alien armor staggered, giving Ethan a few seconds. He grabbed the girl's hand and ran. They sprinted through the dust, feet pounding the soft ground. Plasma bolts whizzed past, lighting up the dusk in flashes of blue. The heat from one shot brushed Ethan's shoulder, searing the edge of his jacket. "This way," he shouted, though he didn't know where this way led. They slid down a dune and hid behind a fallen comm tower. The girl collapsed to her knees, clutching her chest. Ethan crouched beside her. "Who are they? Why are they after you?" he asked, voice rough. She looked up, tears tracing down the strange silver lines on her cheeks. They killed my sister," she whispered, her voice trembling. Now they want me too. Ethan froze. Why? Because we remember, she said softly. He didn't understand, but something about the way she said it chilled him more than the desert wind. The soldiers' voices echoed again, closer now. Thermal signatures detected. Move in. Ethan pulled her behind a rusted panel. Listen to me, he said quietly. When I say run, you run for that ridge. Don't look back. She shook her head violently. No. They'll kill you. He gave a small, dry laugh. Maybe. But not before I make them regret trying. He peeked again. The soldiers were spreading out, scanning the dunes with energy lights. He counted 4 left. Ethan raised his pistol again, his mind racing. Every instinct screamed to run, but when he looked at the girl, something else spoke louder. A quiet human voice inside him that refused to abandon someone helpless. The soldiers drew nearer. The leader's red visor glowed through the dust like an angry eye. Ethan whispered, "Run." The girl hesitated, tears still shining. "Promise you'll come." "I'll find you," he said. "Now go." She ran, small feet kicking up red sand as plasma fire erupted behind her. Ethan stood, firing again, covering her retreat. One soldier fell, another ducked. But then the leader aimed straight at him. A blinding flash filled the desert. When the dust cleared, Ethan was gone, buried under the wreckage of the tower, his beacon still blinking faintly. Far away, the girl stumbled into the shadows of the canyon, clutching a small glowing pendant. She looked back once, whispering something in her language that sounded almost human. Then she disappeared into the dark. The wind screamed through the canyon walls as dusk fell over the red planet. The alien girl, small, barefoot, trembling, stumbled between jagged rocks, clutching the glowing pendant tight to her chest. Her breath came in sharp, frightened bursts. Every sound behind her felt like footsteps. Every shadow looked like a soldier. Her name was Lyra. No one had spoken it kindly in years. She stopped under a cliff overhang, pressing her back to the stone. The pendant pulsed weakly, one soft blue flash for every heartbeat. It was her sister's memory core. The last thing left of her family. Lyra's eyes flickered toward the horizon where smoke still rose, the human's crash site. She whispered to herself in broken galactic, "He helped me." Her voice cracked. "Please be alive." She didn't understand why that human had stood up for her. No one ever did. Not even her own kind. But she remembered his eyes, angry, confused, and yet kind. As night settled, the canyon came alive with faint bioluminescent plants glowing along the rocks. Tiny creatures crawled out, their eyes shining like liquid gems. The air grew colder. Lyra shivered and pulled a torn piece of cloth tighter around her shoulders. Then came the noise again, hover engines, faint but approaching. She gasped and hid behind a cluster of crystal growths. Through the shimmering light, she saw them, 3 figures in dark armor, scanning the area with blue searchlights. "She can't have gone far," one of them said in a metallic voice. Lyra pressed her hand over her mouth to keep from breathing too loud. Her whole body shook as light passed over the rocks, missing her by inches. She didn't dare move. One soldier knelt near the edge of the cliff, examining footprints in the dust. "Small prints," he said. "She's weak. Won't survive long without water." The leader's voice was flat. "The council wants her alive, but if necessary, he didn't finish." They turned toward the ridge. Lyra waited until the sound faded into the distance before letting her tears fall silently. 4 hours, she walked deeper into the canyon. The deeper she went, the older the stones looked, covered with strange carvings glowing faintly under the alien moonlight. She brushed her fingers over one and felt warmth. It was as if the wall itself remembered things. Symbols shifted under her touch, forming the image of 2 figures, one human, one alien, standing together against the stars. Her eyes widened. "Ancient alliance," she whispered. It was real. That was what they feared, the memory of peace between their worlds. That's why they'd erased her family. Her sister had found the old records. Lyra had seen them once before the soldiers came, the files labeled Project Harmony. And now she carried the only proof left inside the pendant. She knelt by a pool of still water, staring at her reflection. The glow in her veins dimmed. "Sister, what do I do now?" The pendant flickered. A soft female voice came from it, broken but gentle. "Lyra, if you're hearing this, it means they found us. Don't trust anyone. But if you meet a human who still remembers kindness, protect him. He is the key." Lyra's breath caught. "Protect him?" The voice faded. "They'll try to destroy the truth. Don't let them." She pressed the pendant to her forehead, sobbing softly. "I will, I promise." Far away, under twisted metal and sand, a human hand moved. Ethan coughed, dust spilling from his mouth. His vision was blurred, his shoulder bleeding. He groaned and tried to push the wreckage off his chest. Pain shot through him, but he was alive. He crawled out slowly, the night air freezing against his skin. His distress beacon still blinked faintly, half buried in dust. No rescue yet. Of course not. Humans didn't patrol this far anymore. Then he remembered the girl. He looked toward the dark canyon. "Kid," he muttered, "please tell me you made it." He grabbed a small flashlight from his belt, adjusted his broken pistol, and started limping toward the canyon. Each step echoed in the silence. By dawn, the twin suns returned, pale and cold this time. Lyra had found a small cave. She sat inside, drawing in the sand with her finger. Strange circular patterns, symbols from her world, mixed with human letters she barely understood. She wrote the word hope. Her eyes filled again. She whispered it in her accent, soft and unsure. "Hope." Outside, Ethan's shadow appeared near the canyon mouth. He followed the trail of small footprints pressed in dust. His heart quickened when he saw the faint glow of her pendant reflection against the rocks. He called out quietly, "Hey! It's me, the human." Lyra gasped and backed away deeper into the cave. "No! Don't come!" Ethan froze, raising his hands. "It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you." "You'll die if they see you," she said, trembling. "They hunt me." "Yeah," he said, with a weak grin. "I kind of noticed." Her lip quivered. "You came back, why?" He looked at her, really looked, and for a moment, words failed him. "Because you were crying." Something inside her cracked at those words. No one had ever said them like that before. The air between them grew still. Two worlds, two species, both broken in different ways, hiding from the same darkness. Ethan stepped closer, voice softer now. "We need to get you out of here. You got somewhere safe?" She hesitated, then shook her head. "No. Only secret." She touched the pendant. "But they want this. My sister said humans once helped save worlds. Maybe you can help again." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "Then we find out what's in that thing, and why they are scared of it." From above, the distant roar of engines echoed again. Dust rained down from the canyon walls. Ethan looked up. "Guess they're not giving up." Lyra's voice was tiny but determined. "Then neither will we." And for the first time in years, she smiled, weak but real. Ethan smiled back. "All right, kid. Let's show them what happens when a human and an alien fight together." The light from her pendant reflected in his eyes like a promise. Far above them, a drone recorded everything, sending data back to a council ship orbiting the planet. The hunt was far from over. The morning light spilled across the canyon walls, painting the red stone gold. Ethan sat near the cave entrance, cleaning the dust from his sidearm while keeping one eye on the sky. Every now and then, he glanced at the small alien girl curled beside the fire, her silver-blue skin glowing softly in the dawn. She was asleep, finally. Exhausted, trembling even in her dreams. He hadn't slept. His body ached from the crash, but his mind refused to rest. Too many questions spun inside his head. Who was she? Why were soldiers chasing a child? And what did that strange pendant mean? He turned it over in his hand. It was warm, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. When he pressed its surface, faint holographic lines appeared, tiny shapes, language he didn't recognize. He frowned. Some kind of data crystal. Lyra stirred, blinking awake. "Don't touch it too long," she said softly. It feels what you feel. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Feels? She nodded. It's alive, a memory core. My sister made it from her own neural map before they took her. Ethan froze. You mean, this thing carries her mind? Her voice. Her memories, Lyra said quietly. She said the truth must survive, even if we don't. Outside, a low rumble shook the canyon. Ethan tensed and peered upward. A dark silhouette crossed the suns, a surveillance drone. They found us, he muttered. Lyra's small hands clenched. They always find me. Ethan grabbed his pack. Then we move. But as they climbed through the rocks, the pendant in his hand flared suddenly, bright blue light bursting from it. It projected an image in midair, a hologram of two people standing side by side. One was human. The other, alien. Both wearing old science uniforms. Lyra gasped. That's her, my sister. Ethan stepped closer. The human face beside her made his heart stop. Wait. I know that man. He swallowed hard. That's Dr. Callan Ward. Lyra looked up at him. You know him? He was my father. The light flickered, forming words above them. Project Harmony, Final Phase Archive. Ethan stared in disbelief. This was a human-alien project from before the wars. They said it failed. That it caused the first uprising. Lyra shook her head slowly. No. It didn't fail. They made peace possible. But the council erased everything. They called it treason. Her voice cracked. My sister tried to restore it. That's why they hunted us. Ethan felt his throat tighten. He watched the hologram again, his father and Lyra's sister smiling, speaking words the static swallowed. But one sentence came through clear. If humans and Valyrians remember this bond, the universe will heal itself. Then the recording shattered into static, and the light faded. Lyra's tears shimmered as they fell. They killed her because she believed in humans. Ethan knelt down, his hand hovering uncertainly near her shoulder. And my father died trying to protect her. Their eyes met in silence. Two different worlds, bound by the ghosts of the same dream. A loud beep from Ethan's wrist display broke the stillness. He looked down, his old distress beacon had finally picked up a signal. But it wasn't human. The screen showed alien text flashing in red. Council tracker locked, ETA 6 o'clock minutes. Ethan's heart sank. We've got company. He grabbed his gear. We need to get out of this canyon. Now. Lyra clutched the pendant tighter. They won't stop. If they take me, they'll destroy it. Ethan looked at her, then at the endless desert beyond the cliffs. He made a quick decision. Then we're not running anymore. She blinked. What? He pointed to the ancient carvings around them. You said this place remembers. Let's make it help us. They spent the next few minutes setting up what little defense they could. Metal shards, broken beacon wires, and the holographic projector. Ethan rewired the beacon into the pendant's frequency, hoping to overload it. As he worked, Lyra sat near him, watching his hands move fast and steady. Why do you help me, human? She asked softly. He didn't look up. Because someone helped me once when I didn't deserve it. Feels like I owe the universe one. She smiled faintly, though tears still shone on her face. Humans are strange. Ethan smirked. You'll get used to it. The ground trembled. The sound of approaching ships grew louder. Lyra pressed the pendant, whispering to it like a prayer. Sister, show him. A final burst of light appeared. Maps, coordinates, encrypted files swirling around them. At the center glowed one word in human language, Haven. Ethan's eyes widened. What is that? The place where the first alliance began, she whispered. Where humans and Valyrians built peace together. It still exists, hidden. Then that's where we go, he said. She looked scared. It's far. Across the dead zone. He smiled. I've walked worse. The soldiers appeared at the canyon mouth, black armor gleaming, rifles raised. The leader's voice boomed, surrender the subject and the artifact, human. Ethan whispered to Lyra, when I trigger this, run for the ridge. She shook her head. No. Not again. He looked at her and saw the fire in her eyes, the same fire he remembered in his father's. He nodded. All right then. Together. He hit the beacon switch. A blinding wave of blue light erupted, throwing sand and energy through the canyon. The soldiers' sensors overloaded, their helmets sparking. Lyra grabbed Ethan's hand as the canyon filled with glowing symbols, the ancient carvings awakening, pulsing like living veins. The ground split open beneath them, revealing a tunnel lit with soft light, leading deeper into the planet. Lyra gasped. The sanctuary, it's real. Ethan grinned through the dust. Then let's make history repeat itself. They jumped into the light just as the canyon above exploded in thunder and flame. The tunnel swallowed them in silence. Blue light pulsed along the walls like veins carrying memory instead of blood. Ethan's breath echoed softly in the vast space as he guided Lyra forward. His flashlight was useless here. The walls themselves glowed, showing paths that seemed to move like they were alive. He stopped and looked around. What is this place? Lyra ran her small hand along the smooth stone. The old ones called it the Root. My people said it was built when humans and Valyrians first shared the stars. The Alliance, Ethan murmured. My father used to talk about it. A time before all the wars. She nodded. Before the council erased it from history. They walked deeper until the tunnel widened into a chamber so large Ethan couldn't see the ceiling. Pillars of crystal rose from the floor, glowing softly. At the center stood a circular platform covered in ancient symbols, half human script, half alien runes. Lyra stepped onto it and gasped as it lit up under her feet. The room responded like a heart remembering how to beat again. A holographic figure shimmered into view, a woman's image made of light and dust. She looked human, but her eyes glowed faintly blue, just like Lyra's. Her voice was calm, melodic, like a memory whispering across centuries. Welcome, inheritors of harmony. Ethan froze. Who are you? I am the last guardian of the Root. You have awoken the sanctuary after 200 years of silence. Lyra's voice trembled. My sister, she told me about you. The hologram turned toward her. You carry her core. She was brave. Her sacrifice kept the truth alive. Ethan looked at the glowing patterns moving across the floor. What truth? The figure extended a hand, and light rippled outward, forming scenes, humans and Valyrians working side by side, building ships, healing wounded planets, sharing knowledge. Smiling. Humans and Valyrians once created the Concord of Hearts, the voice said. A union of empathy. They linked minds, emotions, and dreams. But the Council feared it. They destroyed the project, erased our memory, and turned allies into enemies. Lyra stepped closer to the projection. Then my sister tried to bring it back. Yes. She discovered your genetic resonance, the same empathy code your kind once shared with humans. The Council saw it as a threat to their control. Ethan clenched his fists. So they killed her. The figure's face softened. She died to remind you that peace is possible. But now the Root has awakened again, because both species still remember kindness. Suddenly the ground shook. A low rumble rolled through the chamber. Dust fell from above. Ethan drew his pistol. That's not nature. A metallic voice echoed through the tunnel behind them. This is Commander Threx of the Galactic Council Enforcement. You are surrounded. Surrender the human and the child. Lyra grabbed Ethan's arm, panic rising in her eyes. They followed us. Ethan looked around desperately. There was nowhere to hide, no exit. The only way out was up through the main tunnel, right into the soldiers' line of fire. The hologram spoke again, calm and sure. The Root will protect those who seek peace. She gestured toward the far wall. A spiral of light appeared, slowly forming into a doorway. Ethan grabbed Lyra's hand. Let's move. As they ran, the soldiers' boots thundered behind them, weapons charging. Energy blasts tore through the chamber, scattering sparks. Crystals shattered, and the hologram flickered like a dying flame. Go, she whispered. Remember us. Ethan turned once, watching the figure fade completely. I won't forget. They stepped through the light, and fell. The ground vanished beneath their feet, and suddenly they were sliding down a smooth, glowing shaft that curved and twisted like a living artery. Ethan's shout echoed through the dark. Lyra clung to his arm, screaming. Then they landed hard on a flat surface. Ethan groaned, rolling onto his back. "You okay?" Lyra nodded, dazed but breathing. When they looked up, their jaws dropped. They were standing in a city, underground, hidden beneath the planet's surface. Towers of glass and stone reached upward into the glow, surrounded by floating lights like fireflies. The air was clean, warm, almost gentle. "It's beautiful," Lyra whispered. Ethan's voice was hushed. This is the sanctuary." As they walked through the quiet streets, holographic figures flickered around them, ghosts of the old alliance, replaying moments frozen in time. Children laughing. Humans teaching Valyrians music. Valyrians showing humans how to grow crystal gardens. Ethan's chest tightened. "My father dreamed of this." Lyra touched one of the holograms. "They lived without fear." He nodded slowly. "And we destroyed it because someone decided fear was easier than trust." A faint beeping came from the pendant again. The holograms vanished, and a single line of text appeared in the air. "Core access available, integrate human." Lyra turned to him. "It wants you." Ethan frowned. "Me? Why?" "Your bloodline," she said softly. "Your father helped build this system. It knows you." He hesitated. "If I connect, what happens?" She met his gaze. "Maybe it wakes the old link again. Maybe it kills you." He smiled faintly. "Good odds." He pressed his hand to the pendant. A surge of light shot through him, painful, electric, but alive. Memories not his own flashed behind his eyes. Stars, peace treaties, shared laughter between species, and a promise whispered by his father's voice. "If you ever find her, protect her. She's proof we can still feel." Ethan gasped, stumbling back. The pendant glowed brighter, and the entire sanctuary began to hum, like a heart beating again after centuries. Lyra looked at him in awe. "You linked with it." He blinked through the dizziness. "I think we just turned on something big." Above them, the ceiling shimmered and showed a projection of the surface, council ships descending fast. Ethan looked up grimly. "They are coming." Lyra clutched the pendant. "Then we show them the truth." He nodded. "Together." The sanctuary lights grew brighter, spreading upward through the tunnels like veins of fire, reaching for the sky. The light spread like dawn beneath the planet's crust. It rose from the sanctuary's core, running through the ancient tunnels in veins of blue and gold. The air vibrated with an almost musical hum, soft, alive, and impossibly old. Ethan stood near the central platform, his body still trembling from the link. The pendant floated in front of him, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. Lyra stood close, watching as glowing strands of light wrapped around them both, weaving human and alien energy together. "What's happening?" Ethan whispered. Lyra looked at him with tears in her silver eyes. "The root remembers you. It remembers us." The floor shifted gently, and the sanctuary itself began to breathe. Statues turned their heads. The carved walls pulsed with slow light. Voices, thousands of them, echoed faintly in the air, overlapping in many languages. Human, alien, all saying the same thing: we are one. Above the surface, the world was reacting. The Council's landing crafts hovered over the desert, engines roaring. Commander Threx watched from the lead ship's window, his red visor reflecting the strange glow rising from beneath the ground. "What is that?" he demanded. A scientist beside him stammered, "Unknown, sir. Energy readings are spiking beyond containment thresholds. It's spreading through the crust, like a network activating." Threx slammed his fist against the console. "Seal the area. Nothing leaves this planet. Nothing." The glow intensified until it reached the sky, visible from orbit like veins of light wrapping around the planet. Back underground, Lyra fell to her knees. "It's calling the others," she whispered. "The ones who still dream of peace." Ethan helped her up, his voice rough. "Then we answer it." He stepped onto the central ring again. The pendant expanded its light, showing new symbols, maps, communication patterns, and finally, faces. Hundreds of them. Human and Valyrian alike. Each face flickered alive, projected from memory cores scattered across the galaxy. Scientists, soldiers, children, people long dead but not forgotten. A voice rose among them, calm and strong. To those who find this message, remember what fear stole from you. Harmony is not control. It is trust. Lyra gasped softly. That's her, my sister's voice. Ethan looked up. Then she's still helping us. But outside, the council wasn't waiting. Massive drilling charges fell from orbit, shaking the ground as they detonated. Explosions echoed through the canyon above. The ceiling of the sanctuary began to crack. Dust rained down like falling stars. Lyra clutched Ethan's arm. They're going to destroy it. He looked at the glowing city around them. Not if I can stop them. She frowned. How? He smiled faintly. By giving them what they fear the most, connection. Ethan knelt at the control pedestal. The pendant responded to his touch, opening streams of data that flowed into the air like living rivers. He placed his palm over the central node, and suddenly the light from the sanctuary surged through him again. His mind opened. He saw memories, not his own but billions. Human explorers touching alien soil for the first time. Valyrians learning laughter from human children. He felt their emotions, their hope, their loss. He saw what his father had built and what fear had destroyed. Then he felt something else, a presence beside him. Lyra's mind. She had joined the link. Her thoughts brushed his gently. You're not alone, Ethan. He smiled through tears. Neither are you. Their memories intertwined, hers of flight and pain, his of duty and guilt. Together, they reached into the heart of the sanctuary and pushed. Above, the ships faltered midair. Pilots screamed as their systems flickered with visions not their own. One soldier dropped his weapon, gasping as he saw a memory of himself as a child, playing with a human friend he'd long forgotten. Another fell to his knees, whispering the name of a human teacher who once saved him. Across the fleet, confusion spread. Commander Threx grabbed his helmet. What's happening to my men? The scientist stammered, It's emotional resonance, sir. The network is sending memories into their neural systems. Threx snarled. Cut the feed. But it was too late. Deep below, the sanctuary blazed brighter than ever. The holographic city expanded outward, its light passing through the cracks, through the rock, through the air itself, reaching minds everywhere. Ethan cried out as the surge passed through him, but Lyra held his hand tightly. The pain faded into something else, warmth. The light dimmed slowly. The hum softened. When Ethan finally opened his eyes, the room was calm again. He gasped. Lyra was smiling, eyes full of tears. You did it, she whispered. Ethan looked up. No. We did. On the surface, the sky glowed faint gold. The council ships hovered silently now, no longer attacking. Soldiers stood dazed, many dropping their rifles, staring at the sunrise as if seeing it for the first time. For the first time in decades, humans and Valyrians shared the same emotion, peace. Inside the sanctuary, Ethan sank to the floor, exhausted. What happens now? He asked softly. Lyra knelt beside him. Now they remember. But memory alone is not enough. We must lead them. He smiled weakly. Lead them? I'm just a pilot. She shook her head gently. No. You're a bridge. The pendant floated between them, its glow now steady and calm. A soft female voice, her sister's, spoke once more. Harmony has awakened. But its keepers must choose what to do with it. Ethan looked at Lyra, then at the light surrounding them. Then let's make sure no one forgets again. She nodded. Together. Above them, the ceiling cracked open, and sunlight poured into the sanctuary for the first time in centuries, washing the ruins in golden warmth. It wasn't the end of their story. It was the beginning of everyone's. The war was over, but the silence that followed was heavier than any explosion. Ash fell softly across the red deserts of Valyria like grey snow. The once dead sky shimmered with pale gold light, the last heartbeat of the Harmony network pulsing across the planet. Ethan stood on the ridge, watching the horizon burn with sunrise. The twin suns looked different now, less harsh, almost human in their warmth. Beside him, Lyra sat quietly, her small hands cupped around the cracked pendant. Its glow was fading, but not gone. She looked up at him. "Do you think it will last?" Ethan's voice was low, steady. "Hope always does. It just needs someone stubborn enough to carry it." She smiled faintly. "Then maybe the galaxy still has a chance." Below them, the first ships were landing, not warships, but relief transports. Humans and Valyrians together, working side by side again after centuries. They were not soldiers now, but builders. In the distance, the ruins of the Galactic Council's citadel lay silent. Its spires, once symbols of control, were now surrounded by banners of both species bearing the same words in two languages. "We remember." News feeds across the systems carried the same image, a human pilot and a young alien girl standing against the dawn. No one knew their names for sure, but everyone knew their story. Ethan descended into what remained of the sanctuary. The once bright halls were dim now, their energy spent, but they still hummed faintly, alive, just quieter. Lyra followed him, her feet soft on the glowing floor. In the heart of the chamber, the last hologram flickered to life, his father's face, warm and familiar. "Dad?" Ethan whispered. The hologram smiled. "If you're seeing this, it means Harmony survived. It means my son remembered what I could not finish." Lyra's eyes widened. Your father." Ethan nodded slowly, tears forming. "Ethan," the hologram continued, "when I began Project Harmony, I believed connection could end hatred. I was wrong about one thing: it was never science that made it work. It was courage." The image flickered, fading. "Protect her. Protect all of them. Humanity's greatest strength isn't its machines, it's its heart." Then the projection dissolved into light and drifted upward, joining the faint beam still shining through the cracked ceiling. Ethan closed his eyes, whispering, "I'll protect her, Dad. I promise." Outside, rebuilding had already begun. The old mining camps were becoming new towns. Alien farmers taught humans to grow crystal grains again, while human engineers repaired power grids with Valyrian energy cells. Children played together in the dust, chasing drones and laughing, a sound the planet hadn't heard in decades. Lyra stood at the edge of a small field, her silver-blue skin catching the sunlight. A little human boy ran up and offered her a piece of fruit. She hesitated, then smiled and took it gently. "Thank you," she said. He grinned. "My dad says we don't fight anymore." She looked toward Ethan, who was working with other settlers to repair a beacon tower. He met her gaze and nodded. "No," she said softly, "we don't." As night fell, a council of both races gathered around the ruins of the old citadel. Fires glowed across the plain like stars on the ground. Ethan stood before them, reluctant, tired, but the crowd waited for him to speak. He cleared his throat. "You all saw what fear did to us. How easy it was to destroy something beautiful just because we didn't understand it." He paused, looking at Lyra standing beside him. "But a little girl reminded me that bravery isn't in fighting, it's in protecting. She showed me that kindness can outlast anything, even history." Lyra stepped forward. Her voice was quiet, trembling, but strong. "My people forgot what love felt like. But humans never stopped believing in it. That's why the network chose you. It remembered your hearts." A soft wind blew, carrying her words across the crowd. The fires flickered higher. Ethan raised his hand. "Let's rebuild, not as humans or Valyrians, but as something better. As one." For a moment, there was silence. Then the crowd rose to its feet, hands and claws raised together under the twin moons. The chant began softly, then grew. "We remember. We rebuild. We are one." Later that night, Ethan and Lyra sat alone on a hill overlooking the city lights. She leaned her head on his shoulder, her voice barely above a whisper. "Where will you go now?" He smiled faintly. "Wherever the stars need a story told." She giggled softly. "You sound like my sister." Ethan chuckled. "Guess it runs in the family." They sat in silence for a while, watching the first starships lift off again, not to conquer, but to explore. Lyra looked at the sky, her eyes glowing faintly. "Do you think they'll ever forget again?" Ethan shook his head. "Not this time. The truth is everywhere now. It's in every song, every heart, every sunrise." He looked at her and smiled. "You made them remember who we are." She smiled back, eyes shining. "No. We did." Far above, among the stars, the Harmony network pulsed one final time, spreading across the void like golden dust. It reached forgotten colonies, frozen moons, and distant stations where lonely soldiers suddenly felt tears on their cheeks and didn't know why. It whispered through them all, in every language, the same message. Remember love. Remember each other. And on the surface of Valira, under a sky no longer divided by war, a human and an alien girl watched a new dawn rise, hand in hand, hearts at peace.